back, a landmark moment in US politics. The former President Donald Trump is in New York ahead of his arraignment relating to paying off former adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016. Trump is expected to hand himself over to US authorities when the indictment handed down by a grand jury is lifted. Then Trump will spend the night in Trump Tower, the headquarters of his business empire, but ironically in the Empire State. The world watches his political empire teeter on the brink of collapse. Joining me live now is the former White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney. Great to see you, Mick. Now, it's important to point out that there's a lot we don't know. So a lot of this is actually speculation. And the charges are sealed. Not even Trump knows.
Yeah, Laura, it's an excellent point. While Donald Trump is never boring, at this point, we don't really know what he's in for. Under the rules of the American criminal justice system, those terms of the grand jury indictment are secret until tomorrow afternoon. Not even Trump knows what he's been charged with. There have been some leaks that perhaps have as many as 30 charges, but it's unclear if those are misdemeanors or felonies. By the way, the leaking of the information from a grand jury indictment is a felony in and of itself. So someone has committed a felony just to get this out into the public. But everybody, you and me included, are sort of grasping at straws as to what might actually be in the terms of the indictment tomorrow.
Yep. And look, we've spoken to a lot of experts about this, and your mail's probably the same. And it goes to, the political element of this is that no human being has ever been charged with what he is going to be charged with, if the leaks are correct, of course.
That's right. If the leaks are correct, he's being charged with a combination of a misreporting of a business expense tied to a campaign finance violation. The former, the business expense violation, is a misdemeanor. No one really knows what the campaign finance violation is, but the two of them together can, under certain circumstances, make a felony, but a very low-level felony. In fact, the lowest level felony that we have in the American criminal justice system. So there was one person charged with this, a former senator about 20 years ago. He was found not guilty on some charges, and the other charges were dismissed as simply being unprovable. So no person has ever been convicted of those particular combination of things. That being said, there could be a lot more information. There could be new evidence that we don't know about. There could be new witnesses that we don't know about. But we won't know until tomorrow, about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock local New York time. Yeah,
OK, so Alvin Bragg is a Democrat. We know that. Is there a political element to this? Objectively, yes. But is there something perhaps we are missing? Is there a chance that Alvin Bragg has actually uncovered more evidence that would see this charge fit Mr. Trump that perhaps we haven't talked about?
Sure, there is. I mean, we've all been assuming that the information available to Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in Manhattan in New York City, is the same that was available to the previous district attorney, also a Democrat, also elected, who chose not to prosecute against Donald Trump. But that assumption could be wrong. You could have all sorts of new evidence and all sorts of new witnesses. But without that, what you've got is a really easy case to make that it was political or is political because Alvin Bragg ran for office. Again, this is an elected position in New York City. And he ran for office saying, if you elect me, I will indict Donald Trump. So it was part of the plank that he had when he was running. It's hard, or I guess it's easy to make the case then that it is in fact political.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Michael Cohen being a central witness? Would you be nervous about that if you were Alvin Bragg?
No, Laura, if you're ever charged with a crime, you want Michael Cohen to be the key witness against you. I've been reading some American press this evening, and they said, well, he went to jail for fraud. He went to jail for all these sorts of things. He went to jail for protecting Trump. He went to jail for lying. He went to jail for lying to banks. He went to jail for lying to Congress. The man is a convicted perjurer. You cannot get a less credible witness in the entire country than Michael Cohen. So, and if he really is the key witness against Donald Trump, it raises the specter again that this is just political. At the same time, you could find out at 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow in the afternoon that there's a long list of very credible witnesses with new documentary evidence against Donald Trump that we simply did not see coming. Again, we're having this fun sort of guessing here on the night before it, but we won't know for sure until tomorrow.
No, that's right. Michael Cohen, professional liar. You could also add to that long list of CV, and that's bad enough, isn't it, when you're a star witness? But what happens tomorrow? We've taken our viewers through the fact that he's at Trump Tower. He's going to submit himself, surrender himself to the Manhattan DA, and there'll be a 30-minute process. He's likely to get a mugshot, have his fingerprints recorded. But we haven't spoken about a potential gag order. Could that happen?
Yeah. That, to me, Laura, is the most interesting thing about tomorrow. Yes, it could happen. Why would it happen? It's not at all unusual in high-profile cases for courts to issue gag orders to all the participants saying, look, you can't go on TV and talk about this. You can't go into the newspapers and talk about this. Why? Because it sort of pollutes the ability to get a jury that hasn't read about the case or hasn't formed opinions about the case beforehand. So it's sort of protecting the disinterested nature of the jury under our system. So gag orders in high-profile cases are not uncommon. If there's a gag order entered in this case, and anybody, maybe Donald Trump, violates it, that's a criminal charge in and of itself. It's called contempt of court, and it could land any violator in jail for 30 days or have a various fine or something like that. It's a serious charge. So I'll be looking tomorrow to see if a gag order is entered because Donald Trump has indicated he's going to have a national address tomorrow night from Mar-a-Lago. If he gives that address under a gag order, it will be very interesting to watch and see.
Oh, wow. OK, this is a whole new element that we haven't really discussed. So would the judge in this case decide on his own that a gag order was required, or would Alvin Bragg submit that that would be required? And if that's the case, surely he wouldn't be that politically stupid.
It could happen a couple different ways. Alvin Bragg could ask for it. Donald Trump could ask for it, because keep in mind, Alvin Bragg could also go to the press and start airing out all the things in the indictment to try and sort of make Donald Trump look bad, or the court can do it on its own volition. And that is oftentimes what happens. So again, if that happens tomorrow, what it means is that anybody who violates the gag order, you don't know exactly what the gag order says, but let's say he says you can't talk about this case in the press. Okay. And Donald Trump goes on TV tomorrow night and gives a speech about the case and violates the gag order. He could be found in contempt of court, but he's also going to be in Florida. Yeah. Once you're in Florida and you're in contempt of court in New York, you don't get in trouble unless you go back to New York. So you can foresee a circumstance where Donald Trump says, you know what? I went to New York. I surrendered. I saw the thing against me. It's completely politically motivated. They put a gag order on me when I'm running for president, which is unfair. I'm never going back to New York again, which, of course, means it falls squarely in the lap of the Florida governor, who is
Ron DeSantis. And he already said that he wouldn't extradite him.
Yeah. So you can't, if you had written this script up, Laura, for an episode of The West Wing here, which is one of our television, or a movie, people would throw it out as being completely not credible. But it is exactly where we are as a nation tomorrow. It
certainly is. And also just the fact that there's even this pretense that you could find a completely objective jury amid this circus makes a mockery of your legal system just a little bit, Mick Mulvaney.
It does, but imagine what happens if the charges are as weak as I think they are based upon the leaks. Okay, Donald Trump is tried. Donald Trump, like Senator John Edwards 20 years before him, is found not guilty. What a huge boost that would be to Donald Trump politically, culturally. He could look back and say, I proved that this was a political witch hunt. Even in Manhattan, people who don't like me found me not guilty of this. So the potential swings here politically are dramatic. And honestly, I think Trump is actually starting to enjoy it now. I'm reading reports about how the Trump team was originally stunned that the indictments came down when they did. They thought they might be much later, if at all. But Trump has now managed to turn this into something he's really good at, which is a television program. He's a master showman. Today was extraordinarily orchestrated. The media coverage here was unbelievable, the likes of which we've not seen since he left office. It'll be the same tomorrow. Donald Trump is in his element. you'd be foolish to bet against Donald Trump politically by the time this thing is all over.
Yeah, just fascinating, this gag order element that you've just thrown in there. Thanks for that grenade, Mick Mulvaney. Before I let you go, you know him well. How would he be preparing for this mugshot, do you think? Do you think he'll be using this with an eye to make it a focus of his campaign? Will he go the blue steel? Will he go the big smile with the pearly whites? Or will it be neutral? What do you think?
Oh, no, it's going to be the white shirt with the red tie, the blue suit. And to paraphrase, because I don't have it in front of me, I was reading it while I was waiting to come on the show. A guy who used to work for me, one of our deputy press secretaries, was quoted as saying, in his best Trump voice, it's going to be the most manly, the most virile, the most fabulous mugshot ever taken in the history of the United States. This is what Donald Trump is thinking tonight as he goes to sleep.
Yeah, that is pretty good from you as well. I like it. Mick Mulvaney will speak to you tomorrow. Thanks so much.